Okay, we begin with some severe winter weather for this holiday week. Dozens of states under alert from California to New York because of two major storm systems set to bring everything from powerful wind to flash floods to heavy snowfall. The first of it already starting in places like Denver, where we find our Clayton Sandell nearby in Lone Tree, Colorado. Clayton, it looks like the snow has started to accumulate pretty fast there.
It has, Kimberly, and your studio is looking mighty warm this morning. But, you know, a lot of people would love to be inside, but this is a major travel day, and it's come with some major travel headaches, at least here in the Denver area. I want to show you, this is I-25 behind me here, running between Denver and Colorado Springs, and there is traffic on it now, but you can see it's pretty snowy, pretty ice-packed, and it can be very dangerous. We were driving around earlier this morning and saw some smaller cars kind of sliding out, not being able to navigate this very well. And I wanted to show you some pictures. Unfortunately, things are looking pretty good here, but up in the mountains, we've already got reports of at least one fatal accident on I-70 up in the mountains near Vail. So already this storm has turned deadly. We're also hearing reports of rock slides along I-70 in the Idaho Springs area. And I want to show you just here, we're just south of Denver in the Lone Tree area, and we've at least gotten about a foot of snow here, and it's still coming down and will be coming down for a little while. Up in the mountains, we've heard reports of up to 24 inches of snow, so 2 feet in that area. And all of this, of course, could not be coming at a worse time for holiday travelers. We've got blizzard conditions that have shut down Interstate 70 in several parts of Colorado, and then Interstate 76 from basically Denver all the way to the Nebraska state line is completely shut down. I want to talk about the airport now, too. Overnight, they had about 1,100 people in the airport, and we just talked to the folks at the airport, and they said they handed out blankets, everything from diapers. They kept some of the concessions open so that people could get some supplies and get stuff to eat, but they had about 1,100 people stay overnight. Around 470 flights were canceled for today, and to give you an idea of the impact, Denver usually has around 1,600 flights a day, roughly, so it's about a third of the flights coming in and out of there. But the good news is, they say, as this system starts to move on, they expect to hopefully get back to what they call normal by midday. So things are looking up there, but they say tomorrow's a whole nother story, because all of those flights that were canceled today, all of those people are going to be hopefully trying to fly tomorrow. So it could be crowded at the security lines tomorrow. But for now, officials are still urging people to stay off these highways, stay off the roads if you can. Thankfully, schools are out because it's Thanksgiving week. A lot of city governments all over the Denver area have shut down, so not as many people on the roads, which is a good thing, lets these plows do their work. But they're saying stay off the roads because this isn't quite over yet. Kimberly?
Yes, stay off the roads, and there's still some people driving behind you, but a travel nightmare for sure. Clayton, stay safe. I hope you can get out of that snow. It's pretty thick there. Thank you for the updates. Yes, yes. And as Clayton mentioned, this is not the best time, as this will unfortunately impact holiday travel. And it has already started with millions of people expected to fly, but hundreds of flights canceled, as he said. And our David Curley is right there at Dulles International Airport with the latest there. David?
The Thanksgiving travel rush is on, as you can see, at airports around the country. Already there have been cancellations because of the weather in Denver, and of course that is a major hub, which means that those cancellations will ripple through the system today. Here are the good times and the bad times to travel over this weekend. Look at today, 2.8 million or so travelers today. Then tomorrow, close to a record. Then watch the numbers dip dramatically on Thursday. And Friday is close to a normal day, Saturday like today, and then Sunday expected to be the busiest travel day ever in U.S. passenger travel. 3.1 million folks trying to get home after the holidays. It continues again until Monday will be a very busy day as well. So the question is, what about security? Well, the TSA at their checkpoints at airports around the country tell us that they have added officers and they're using overtime to try and deal with this. They've dealt with 2.8, 2.9 million passengers before, but 3.1 on Sunday will be a challenge for the TSA. They say they're up for it. A very busy travel weekend this Thanksgiving.
All right, David. Yeah, people are going to need a lot of patience. So to get the details on these storm tracks, I want to bring in our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z. Ginger?
Kimberly, thank you. Are you ready? We have a lot of weather to get to. And I say that sometimes, but no, really, it's a travel week. And this, could be messier, but not much. So let's go ahead and go through it. I want to start with all the alerts because this gives you an indication of what's about to hit you. A couple of storms that'll be responsible for alerts from California and Oregon right through Colorado, Nevada, Nebraska, Illinois, Michigan, and even Western New York. So what does this mean to you in detail? Well, this morning we're already seeing reports of more than a foot of snow around Denver. Some of the mountain areas much more than that. Winds gusting to 40 miles per hour, so you had blizzard warnings starting you off. Impossible travel. I mean, that's what's going to come along on the north side of this low. And as that travels to the east, severe storms will break out. We're talking about damaging wind potential. So if you're in Little Rock or northern Louisiana up to St. Louis, just enough oomph with this that you're going to end up with some powerful storms with winds in excess of 60 miles per hour in those thunderstorms. Oh, speaking of 60 mile per hour, gusts on the top end in Chicago by tomorrow morning. I think that could impact O'Hare. So if you have traveled to Chicago, which a lot of folks do this time of year, I'd check ahead. Then, by Thursday, the winds make their way to the northeast, which is not great timing because of the Macy's Day Parade. Their threshold is 35 mile per hour gusts. It is going to be close. You can see some snow showers in western New York and certainly some rain showers with this. Pretty much comes through dry, though, for most of the coast. Not dry at all for the west coast tonight through early tomorrow. We're talking about 1 to 3 feet of snow in the mountains. This storm that could bomb out, as we call it, so that means drop 24 millibars in pressure in less than 24 hours. That will impact you with what could be potentially a historic storm right along the state line. 80 mile per hour wind gusts. Even in Los Angeles, by Wednesday morning, Santa Barbara could see 1 to 2 inches of rain. Remember, these places have had wildfires really recently, so there's a lot of burn scars, and what that balding of a mountain does is allows the flash flooding to happen easily. Mudslides, debris flows. As if I didn't have enough, how about we just focus on that Thursday morning wind gusts, which you could see up to 60 miles per hour with some of the storm, but I think right along the coast we'll see that kind of 30 to 40. That's going to be a problem if that verifies in New York City, especially for those balloons. It looks real nice in Florida. That desert rain starts to come into effect on Thursday itself, that mountain snow for sure. And then there's another storm. I just don't even have time to talk about it because that would impact travel on the West Coast Sunday into Monday. But don't worry, we'll get to it this week, Kimberly.
Thank you, Ginger. Not the best news, but we appreciate the updates. And guys, speaking of crazy weather, we're going to move to California. Another wildfire called the K Fire. It's quickly burning its way through many acres in Santa Barbara County, threatening homes and forcing evacuations overnight. And our Will Carr is on the ground there with the latest. Will?
Kimberly, fire crews have been working relentlessly throughout the night trying to jump on top of these flames. You can see they've raced up this hillside and they are shooting hundreds of feet up into the air. It is so hot right now. You can feel those flames burning against your skin, and there's so much smoke here, it's really hard to breathe. They are hosing this tree down. As you walk further along here, I want to describe this to you. There's a lot of smoke, so it's probably hard for you to see, but the best way that I can describe this is a hellscape. You have flames, you have smoke, you have just a charred terrain here, and in the distance we actually have a helicopter. They have been flying throughout the night using infrared, trying to make dumps on this fire. Now, this started with the sundowner winds that are notorious across this area. Those sundowner winds actually sweep down the mountainside here as the sun is going down, and they push fire conditions into Santa Barbara. So last night they were pushing these flames and those embers down into Santa Barbara, very close to homes. And you can see down the street some more flames have broken out. I want you to take a look once again at the helicopter that we have circling here. We have seen them make drop after drop. Now, we've had a lull in the winds this morning compared to what we saw last night, so fire crews are really trying to take advantage of that. Also, we're expecting some rain in the forecast, so they're hoping to get some help from Mother Nature. But when that happens here in California, you also get the threat of mudslides. It is really a double-edged sword that we've seen here in California for years. Kimberly.
Absolutely terrifying. Thank you, Will, for the updates there. And guys, we're going to turn to Washington. The House Intelligence Committee, led by Representative Adam Schiff, deciding their next moves in the ongoing impeachment probe of President Trump. A new CNN poll showing 50% of Americans support impeaching and removing the president. So I want to bring in Karen Travers at the White House. Karen, I want to ask you about these numbers because as damning as those hearing testimonies were last week, the needle hasn't really moved that much for Americans.
Yeah, that number was the same before all of that public testimony. And I think that what it tells you, Kimberly, is that Americans' opinions on this are baked in, you know, from the closed door testimony, what they were reading, or what they already thought about the president and his conduct. If you support him, you're going to say that he did nothing wrong, and he can do that as the president. If you are not a supporter of the president, you, of course, have big concerns about those actions and think this could be something that should be impeachable. So I think we're in the same boat that we were in just a couple of weeks ago, and it doesn't seem like the numbers have moved. Now, that's just one poll. We'll see what else comes out next week.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about this new court ruling, a court ruling by a federal judge saying that former White House counsel Don McGahn has to testify. So I just want you to explain the significance of this, because they were waiting to hear what the results was going to be from this.
Yeah, anxious anticipation over this ruling, Kimberly, and essentially this federal judge is saying presidents are not kings, and that the administration and the president don't have the power to kneecap House investigations, that they do have to cooperate. Everybody's looking to this to see what impact this will have immediately on the impeachment inquiry. Does this compel people like former National Security Advisor John Bolton to testify? So far, it doesn't seem like they're taking this case to give direction for what he is going to do, or forcing him to go up there and talk to lawmakers. This will likely play out in the courts for some time. The Justice Department is going to appeal this ruling. It could end up at the Supreme Court. And Kimberly, that means this could take some time, which of course is going to outlast this House Democrats impeachment inquiry based on the timeline that lawmakers have laid out.
So the House is going to continue to move forward even if these key witnesses don't come forward to testify.
And they've said that, you know, for them, time is of the essence. House Democrats have said they wanted to get this done by the end of this calendar year, even if they were not able to get top White House officials like John Bolton or Mick Mulvaney, the acting chief of staff, to come up and testify. They want to get this wrapped up. We're hearing now that Adam Schiff, the House Intelligence Committee chairman, is planning to turn over a report on everything they've put together so far. This process, of course, then heads to the House Judiciary Committee, where any articles of impeachment would be drafted for the House to vote on at some point after that.
Yeah, and Karen, while you're with us, obviously there's lots going on at the White House, and today you were there during this. There was actually a lockdown at the White House.
It was about 40 minutes, Kimberly, where reporters in the briefing room behind us here were not allowed to leave. There was a Secret Service agent posted at the door, weapon there. But I will tell you that the posture was not one of big panic. And certainly we got those clues from the Secret Service that this was not going to turn out to be a big deal. A plane had reportedly flown into restricted airspace here in the nation's capital. Kimberly, this is some of the most restricted airspace in the country. There were regulations put in place after 9/11. You basically can't fly anything over the city unless you have FAA or TSA authorization. So these small planes, and this happens from time to time. I'll tell you, in 2005, I was here when a plane came within miles of the White House, and we were actually evacuated out of here. They were directing everybody out of the building, off the grounds, a block away, in a very big state of urgency. We did not see anything like that here today, of course.
Yeah, we're happy everyone was safe. So, Karen, lots going on. The impeachment probe, the lockdown, and in the meantime, President Trump is getting ready to pardon some turkeys, a long-standing tradition.
The turkey pardon here today, Kimberly. This goes back to 1989 when George H.W. Bush used the word pardon in his Thanksgiving message here with some turkeys. So he's credited with the first real pardon of the modern era. But by some accounts, historians say this actually goes back to Abraham Lincoln. His son Tad apparently befriended a turkey and pleaded with his father to not have it end up as dinner. And Abraham Lincoln said fine. So today the president will have two turkeys here, bread and butter. They've spent a couple hours, days, nights over at the very luxurious Willard Hotel, living it up in a very fancy spot here near the White House. And then today they'll get their reprieve. But sadly, for everybody out there, turkeys don't live very long. So this is not like they're going to go off and have decades of a comfortable life at a turkey farm. But they will not be eaten this week. So that's good for them.
Those turkeys living their best life. Are you going to attend the pardon? Are you going to be there for the turkey pardon?
Yes, it'll be taking place this afternoon, and then the president and the first lady will be heading to Florida for a long holiday weekend. They do this every year, so they'll be departing the White House this afternoon. Perhaps a chance to ask the president some questions, though.
All right, Karen Travers right there at the White House with all of the updates. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And guys, we're going to move overseas to Germany, where police officials are still feverishly investigating one of the most brazen heists yesterday at the Green Vault Museum in Dresden, where bandits made away with estimates of $1 billion worth of jewels. And our James Longman is on the ground there with the latest. James?
Yeah, hi Kimberly. I'm right outside the museum here in Dresden where that raid went down, and it really was quite extraordinary. I just want to show you these windows behind me on the ground floor. They lead into that famous Green Vault. And one right on the end there is where the thieves gained entry. We went and had a look. You can actually make out on one of these iron grills where they've cut out a piece, like a triangular section, and they've made their way inside, slipped through. It really is not a very wide gap, and they were only in there for minutes. It does seem like this whole thing was planned pretty meticulously. Near here there was an electrical junction box which was on fire just before 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday morning. It was to that police were originally called, but they now think that the thieves set fire to that in order to kind of shut down the lights in this part of Dresden so that they could make their way into the museum unseen. The footage from inside, the CCTV footage, is pretty extraordinary. You can see them making their way over to one of the jewelry cases and with an axe smashing their way into it. We understand that they've taken 3 jewelry sets of the many that were in there. These things date back to the 1700s. They're a really important part of German cultural history. I spoke to the director of the Green Vault earlier today, and he was saying that in his view, looking at the footage, you could kind of sense that these guys were making their way for these diamonds specifically, thinking that they would have the best possible value on the black market or wherever they intend to sell them. He thinks maybe one of them may have come in as a regular tourist, bought an admission ticket, had a look around, was able to scope the room out, and then later, of course, come back with some accomplices and carry out this heist. Now, the big issue is if these jewels get broken down for parts, because they wouldn't be able to sell them on the open market, they're too recognizable, then it'll be far, far more difficult to trace them. So the hunt is now on to find those who carried this out. Kimberly?
Unbelievable, James. Thank you for the updates. And guys, as we've said, you are probably prepping for your holidays, starting the clock on when you will have a feast with your loved ones. But many are also counting down to the big shopping day one day later, better known as Black Friday, and the following Monday for online deals known as Cyber Monday. But are the goods worth the wait? That's why I want to bring in Digital Trends news editor Matt Katz. Matt, it's good to see you. Is it worth it to wait for a specific day to do your shopping? What do you think?
If you've been waiting to buy something specific, then yeah, you're probably not going to find a better deal than what's going on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that whole weekend. That being said, just because something is on sale doesn't mean you have to buy it. It's really easy to get kind of swept up in all the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals and end up spending a lot more money than you had intended just because something is, 50% off.
Yeah, and so from your opinion, for people who partake in these specific days, do you think it's better to drive to the mall or just do it from your home?
Absolutely do it from your home. We've been rounding up, thousands of deals on digitaltrends.com on everything from TVs to wireless headphones to iPads. And we're not really finding many deals that are better in person than they are online. You're going to avoid yourself a lot of hassle, lines, crowds, everything like that if you just order it from your computer. What's also true is that most of these deals are available throughout the weekend and probably won't sell out very fast. So you're going to be able to maybe take a little time to think about it and not have to be there, at midnight on Black Friday as opposed to any other time during the weekend.
Taking time to think about it. I like that. So are you saying that Cyber Monday is a better idea than Black Friday?
It's just, you think about it as the whole weekend is a weekend of deals. We've done a couple of surveys at Digital Trends and found that people are actually planning on shopping a little bit more on Cyber Monday than on Black Friday. I think the Black Friday hype has gotten to a lot of people, and so people really want to take the time, spend time with their families, and maybe get a deal on something, the Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday, instead of rushing for it on the Black Friday. That also gives you a little bit more time to think about it and see if that's product that you really need to spend the money on, or maybe it's something that you can hold off on.
Okay, so I have to ask, you're obviously an expert on all of this. Is there anything that you are waiting to get in particular?
I've been holding off for years on buying a PlayStation 4. I love video games, and there's an incredible deal on it for someone like me who has not played any of the PlayStation 4 games. That's because some new video game consoles are coming out next year, so they're really discounting them this year. So that's probably the one thing I'm going to buy this year.
I like it. You're keeping it to a minimum. One thing. I love it. Matt Katz from Digital Trends, thank you for everything. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys, and before we go, there are some things that happen here in this city where it's appropriate to say only in New York. Like, why wait until Thursday for a Thanksgiving feast? How about celebrating early on the subway? Okay, you heard me right. These passengers here are literally living their best life. Yep, a full table. You see it there with plates and sides and turkey and people just completely surprised, all happening on the L train. And we love it. And we asked you on ABC News Live Facebook if you would partake in the festivities. And Eric Wayne said, not a chance. I've been on those subways and they're pretty dirty. Now, if Amtrak did something like that, that could be interesting. All right, Eric, I think I agree with you. But sometimes you got to switch it up. So, guys, continue to take care of yourselves. And if you're around, you can stick around for the briefing room at 3:30 p.m. Then you can check out World News Prime at 8 p.m. And if you want to stay updated on all of these headlines, you can go to abcnews.com or download the app. And I'll see you tomorrow.